Mr. Chairman, and thank you for the series of hearings that we've had in the subcommittee. It's been great. Big data is incredibly important in how we manage data, and with the rapidity of how the world's changing. I mean, when I think back to being a high school student, for me it was going and looking at the index cards, walking down and looking in the encyclopedia. Now when my daughter she has vast access, or when I do rounds in the hospital, we'd have to race down to the library to get information, but now before we even finish presenting, the medical students or the residents can just look at the latest data on a device like this and get access to the most accurate and timely information. So it is incredibly important that we make these investments to not only manage the data, to sort that data, and then to make sure it's accessible. It is a critical priority that we have that workforce, both at the professional level, but then also at the management level. And I think the number that I read was we need about 1.5 million managers. So there's a huge need, but also a huge opportunity. When I think back to the talent that has been impacted in this in the last 4 years in the recession, there are a large number of extremely intelligent and talented individuals in their 30s and 40s who have been hit hard. These are folks like myself that were trained for a 20th century workforce, but now we find ourselves in a 21st century economy. Dr. Rappa, are there some best practices, and these aren't individuals that need to get a graduate degree. They're talented individuals where we could take them and quickly train them for this new economy. Are there examples?
Right. So we do offer it as a graduate degree, but we do this in 10 months, and indeed a good, fairly substantial, larger portion of our population are people who are returning from or coming from the workforce to go through this, and some of them are in exactly the position that you say. They were transitioning, their companies were faltering. And so the key really with this is short duration. 10 months is actually a very reasonably good time because you could build the skills that you need. If it's too short, you can't accumulate the skills. But the key thing is that you have really demonstrated ROI on that education, because that person who's coming in to do that has to know that they have a very high probability of getting a job when they leave and at a particular salary rate so that they can justify the investment in time. And that's really what we've done.
Well, and Dr. McQueeney, are there potentially any examples where, again, a lot of these folks are also paying their mortgage. They have to continue to foot their bills, of possibly even doing an advanced work study type of program where you recruit this talent and they're getting on-the-job training as opposed to a traditional school model.
Yes, in fact, there's a related topic here that I think is quite interesting, which is the application of big data and analytics back onto the educational process itself. You've seen the great upsurge in videos that attempt to replace traditional brick-and-mortar classroom attendance coursework. You've seen a number of startup companies formed in this space. If you look at the education process, each of us really learns quite differently. Some of us may learn more from hearing or from seeing or from working problems, and great teachers, great professors are sensitive to how their different students learn and are capable of presenting material in alternate ways to make sure they reach all the students. With electronic delivery of course materials and monitoring of student progress, we generate digital exhaust, if you will, that describes how that student is learning, how that student responds to the instruction. And for the parts of the instruction that are delivered electronically, we actually have the ability to do analytics and to do an optimization process so that each of us on the panel might not get the same length of lecture on 5 different topics. It might be adjusted to our historical learning patterns. So we've worked with a number of universities, a number of other non-traditional educational institutions to apply the big data and analytics techniques to the education and training process itself.
Great. In my last 30 seconds, so we have access to data. I think one element that we should also be conscious of is the quality of the data, because there certainly is very good quality data, but at the same time, there's very poor quality data that is out there. And any of you who want to comment on how we monitor quality?
I think most data starts off as bad data for the most part, unless it's being collected in a highly careful way. And so it is, you know, I think just as we hear about big data today, we're going to hear about bad data in the future. Most projects start out where you have enormous front end to them to really understanding, cleaning, and cultivating that data to make it useful. And that's an important part of the educational process.
I would just add that there are a number of techniques that have been developed and are in development dealing with data exploration, data cleaning, and so on. Furthermore, when we talk about large-scale data sets, there are statistical techniques that are being applied that really take care of the noise, take care of some of these inconsistencies. And that's one of the attractions of big data.
Great. Thank you.